Good afternoon, how are you? Hope you've been very well. Thank you for tuning in today. I have a sparkly look in mind with a palette that I haven't actually touched in a while because I've used the neutral matte colors from this palette. I'll show you in a minute. And then I was like, glitters, shimmers, sparklies? No, thank you. Today's look is going to be a smoky gunmetal look. I haven't done a look like this. I did one a while ago, like years ago, and I put it on Instagram. But I never did one again, and I don't know why, because I love the way it turned out. So we're going to do one of those today, and we're going to do it foundation first. If you've got black eyeshadows, brown eyeshadows, and shimmers that fall on your face and have residue, do your eyes first. In my case, I don't like doing my eyes first. It feels like I'm missing a step, like it feels like I'm off alignment and everything's messed up and it doesn't turn out. It does turn out, but it just feels weird. So I'm gonna do makeup first. Let's get started. I've already done my skincare and my primer. I do it off camera. Maybe I should do a skincare and primer before my makeup video, but not today. I don't know what it is that made me want to do this look today. I feel like every now and then I go through my palettes and I think, what haven't I used in a while? And since I do tend to typically use the same 2 or 3 palettes for the same neutrals, I don't know. I just wanted to do something a little different. I didn't really have any other plan for this weekend. I knew I wanted to film a makeup video and I knew it wanted to be. The makeup video wanted to be different. The last time I did any kind of smoky, sparkly look, I don't even remember, to be honest. But lately, I've been coming home from work, not late at night, but after sunset. And I don't know, I'm inspired by night again. So that's kind of why I want to do this look. I have a few ideas for looks that are inspired by the night, but they're going to have to wait because I have quite a few things planned. Now, I know that smoky looks are sometimes intimidating. Not smoky looks, but dark smoky looks are a lot of the time intimidating because the colors are intense. And if you mess up an intense color, it looks like dirt, bruises, mistakes. You can tell it's not that hard to make mistakes and it's a lot harder to fix those mistakes. But my intention with this video is to try and make it easier. Make it easier to see and understand that smoky looks and dark, sparkly, smoky looks don't have to be intimidating. So we're gonna try and do it that way. Because I remember when I first did this look, I was intimidated. I didn't want to use black because I was a lot paler than I am now. I actually tanned this year and last year. It was intimidating. I didn't want to look like a raccoon or a panda, and so I avoided the color altogether. Sometimes dynamic looks or dramatic night looks are just what we need. I'll try and remember to name my products for the people that actually want to learn about makeup. My foundation that I'm using for the last year is by Estee Lauder. It's the Double Wear Stay in Place makeup. And I use it in the color 2C1. I used to use it in a lighter color, but I tanned. And the concealer that I use is the NARS Soft Matte Creamy Concealer in Chantilly because some things just don't change. For my setting powder, I'm going in with the MERCIER Ultra Blur translucent setting powder, and I've been using this one for years too. I don't know how the original one wears because this one was the recommended one for me, but if you've got pores, this one is very good, I found. Maybe the other one's very good too, but the Ultra Blur, beautiful. For bronzer, I'm using the Benefit Hoola bronzer, and normally I don't do too much bronzer and blush. I like to keep it as natural as possible, which unfortunately for me, it doesn't show up in photos. So if you are going out, you're probably better off going heavier on the bronzer and the blush so it shows up in photos. But lately, all I've been doing is going to work, and I'm not really taking photos at work. I'm working. So I do a very light version of this on my way to work. But every now and then it's nice to do a little extra, And I would just like to reiterate, if you're new to makeup, and dark colors typically scare you, you might want to do the eyes before the makeup. We're just doing it this way because it feels better. And the bronzing under the chin and down the neck isn't for everyone. Some people don't need it because their chins and necks have different dimensions and it doesn't look like they are one. But for some people, it is a game changer. And usually for nose contours, I go pretty light as well. I don't bake. I don't think I need to. Maybe I do need to, and I'm just like, no one's telling me. But for some reason, I just don't really pay too much attention to my nose. I usually just add some color to shape it in more proportion with my face and to bring the whole look centered together, like with all the bronzer, but I don't do anything too specific. I used to, before I had my nose fixed, before they repaired the break, I did a lot more contouring. If you haven't seen that video, I'll add it in the cards. It's starting to get really hot in here. For blush, I'm using Dolce Vita by NARS. And because I have a diamond-shaped face, I no longer put blush in the center of my, I don't put blush in the balls of my cheeks anymore. I focus it up, blending it in with the bronzer on the higher point of my cheeks. And with whatever residue is left, it gives color to my cheek. I do this because I found that putting it on my actual cheeks, it brings down my face. It makes me look like a bit of a clown. So, small subtle changes that I've made if you watched my foundation video and whatever. My eyebrows are growing back nicely. I do trim them and try to shape them where I can, but for the most part, they're growing back nicely. For the moment, NYX's Micro Brow Pencil and Benefit's 24-hour brow setter, I should say, have been working just fine. Stick to the fake line that I drew. Alright, now for the fun part. That could be intimidating, but we're going to do our best to not. I'm going to take the Smoky palette by Urban Decay. This palette served me so well, in fact, that... Where is it? These two colors? Gone. This color? Gone. Oh yeah, and this one? I've hit pan. So they are exactly what you think they were. One was a light shimmer, one was a light matte, one was a medium matte, and one was a dark matte. All gone. So, as much as I would love to just use the Urban Decay Naked Smoky palette, the color that I would go in with initially is not in this palette anymore. It was called Combust, and it was this one here, which was a nude, closest to my skin tone nude, and the closest thing to that would be the nude color called Nude, this one, in the Too Faced Born This Way, the Natural Nudes palette. So, because I have like sort of a dupe, this one's a bit darker, but the closest color you have to your skin tone, we're going to use that as the buffer. So what I want you to do with the fluffy brush, take that between the socket part of your eye and the brow bone part of your eye. And I want you to, while it's focused here in the socket part, don't be afraid to bring it up to the brow bone. And to do this, use swipey motions. And once all that color is down, circly motions will blend it both above and below. Now, because this is a smoky eye, we don't care if it gets blended below, because we are going to layer it and blend other colors on top of it. But this color is going to work as a buffer so that there will be no harsh lines. It's like an extra layer of protection. It's the difference between when you do a cut crease and you put concealer on the eye versus when you powder the eye and the shadows slide. You can also choose to do more of a round shape, depending on your eye shape and what eye shape you think suits you best when you do your makeup. I'm going to focus it as a round shape, but when I blend it off and I taper it, it will come to a point. If I follow my brow bone completely, it is a round shape. But when I make that residue shadow, it's with whatever's left on the brush. So it's there, but it's not there. Okay, next step. In the Naked palette, it would be the color Whiskey. We can probably still use this color. Yeah, because there's a lot of it left. So we'll use Whiskey. Fluffy brush, denser than the one we used to apply the nude color, but not so dense where it's like a pencil brush that's very concentrated. Fluffy enough to blend. With this color, we're going to apply it in that socket dip and bring it down. We start in the outer crease because it is safest to do so. And with whatever residue is left after that initial application, bring it inward. Don't be afraid. If you have if you have a smoky eye, if you have a hooded eye or a semi-hooded eye, don't be afraid of it getting on that this top part here. Don't be afraid of that. We will go in later and blend everything and make it more seamless, but I know that looks like this get intimidating because when you open your eye, it looks like you've done nothing. Don't be afraid to let this slide above. But make sure to bring it in to the inner part of the eye. And to apply this color, more swipey motions initially, and then blend it in circly motions, mostly downward like I said, but don't be afraid if it goes up into the brow bone. Because again, this is going to be covered. What we want to do is create the most seamless version of a smoky, like a black, dark, smoky eye. So these layers are just like prerequisites in order to do that. The next step, you can do it one of two ways. One way is putting down a base. So using a black gel or cream or a black base for your eyeshadow to make that black pop. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is just going in with black shadow. There are pros and cons to either of these. If you go in with the black base, it will make the black pop, but it is more intimidating, especially if you're starting out and this is one of your first dark black looks. If you go in without the base, it's not going to become black. It's going to look gray. It's going to look like a dark gray, and we are going to cover it with one of the other colors later. I'll show you when we get there. But it depends on what you want. When I initially did this look, I didn't put a black base, and it turned out okay, but it turned out mostly gray. I think I'm going to add a black base today. If it is intimidating for you, I want to show you how to make it not as intimidating. So I'm going to go get my cream palette, and I'll show you how I do it. I'm using the Ultimate FX palette by Ben Nye. My god, the last time I used these, I did not clean it. But I have an abundance of colors. You can make anything from the basic colors. This has basic colors and then some, but it does have a pretty big black. I'm taking a small flat applicator brush. It's not in focus, but you get it. There's a little bit of product on there, not too much. I'm going to apply it to the center of my eye and taper it out. Apply it to the center. You want to tap it in order to blend it. You don't want to blend it in swirly or swipey motions. You're going to create harsh lines. This is a cream, so it will taper out naturally on its own, but you want to just blot it. And the more you blot it, the more transparent it gets. So it will on its own diffuse the color. It doesn't have to be the neatest application, and you can go back in with more black, which is what I'm going to do. But the key is to break it down to small amounts. So small amounts of pigment that you can blend out in layers. These kinds of looks are layered looks. Word of advice for the people with semi-hooded or hooded eyes. Do you see how when I open my eye, there's a fold? This fold, open the eye, create a line just above the fold. Do it with the residue product if you're worried. This up here is going to be how high your black shadow is going to go, if you can see it. It's very light now because it's, again, with the residue product. That's how high it's gonna go, because otherwise you will not be able to see it and you're gonna be so disheartened and all of your hard work will be hidden. So once you make that line, it's up to you how much product you add on top. Just make sure that when you're adding that product, you're just dabbing it. It's an application, not a blend. It's cream, so when you set it, it will look more stark. There. Just in case you couldn't see it before. So you see when I close my eye, it's very high up, but when I open it, it's not that high up. Round that off as best as you can. You can play around with this, depending on, again, the shape of your own eyes and how you like your smoky eyes to look. I'm keeping mine pretty round, because if I use the black cream to extend it, there is a chance that it could look like something completely different. In which case, it'll look like a very thick eyeliner, which is not what I'm going for. I'm keeping it rounded because this is where I'm going to apply this shadow, and I'm going to use the browns that I went in before to blend it out and give it that shape. You'll see, but it's important to know ahead of time your eye shape, what you're going for, so you can apply it accordingly. One more thing. If you can't get the same shape, because it is a cream, if you wipe off some excess product, which at this point on my brush there's pretty much no product left on it, you can diffuse it more. If you set creams in their harsh shapes, I'll do it on this side because it's harsher than this side. If you set creams with the harsh lines, they will set with the harsh lines. It is easy to blend them out, but if you're a beginner and you want to avoid, again, the intimidating parts of the makeup, you can diffuse it while it's still a cream. And I do this by, I still dab it. Again, most of the product, if not all of the product, is swiped off at this point. and I dab it around, like, how do I explain this? I'm dabbing it between the shape that I want and above it, so that it does transfer a little bit above, but it transfers softly. I also want to reiterate that this is not a clean portion of the makeup. This is gonna, like, you need to really trust that you're gonna cover it, blend it, and make it all come together in the end. And if the initial shape looks different, remember that your eyes are different. So when you're applying it as circular as you can, your eyes will be different shapes, and you're doing it according to your eyes. You'll blend it to make it match later. I'm going to take the color Bonnie from the Gemini palette, but if you have any black will do. I'm taking this one. I do have a couple different blacks from Ben Nye, from Inglot, and what have you. I'm going to use this one because the pigment on it is beautiful. The same brush that we were using, that flat applicator brush, I'm wiping that down so it has like nothing on it. Tapping into Bonnie, which is again very pigmented. And I'm going to apply this from the center out, just like we applied the cream. I almost said concealer. Just like we applied the cream, from the center, tap and diffuse outward. This is the part where if you do feel intimidated by looks like this, do it before your foundation, because there is a chance that you're going to get residue and fallout. Once the initial lid is covered, take the residue. Remember when I said layers? This is a heavy layered look. The residue of that powder, bring it up to set what you've blended upward. And it's important to use the residue because we are going to avoid harsh lines. And just tap out the excess. Like, bring that out. Don't tap back into the product. If it looks scary now, it's fine. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Once that's set, take, where did I put it? The fluffy brush from before where you applied that deeper brown. In this case, it's whiskey. Take whiskey on that fluffy brush again. Tap out any excess, most excess. And what you're going to do is in circle immersions. No, in swipe immersions. You're going to create a buffer. That brown is going to transition into the brown you applied before and the nude that you applied before that. Don't take it all the way up to the nude. Keep it between the black and create a new layer of that brown. Don't like turn and twist it. Keep the black side on the black part of the shadow and the brown side on the brown part of the shadow. This step is going to blend the black into the brown and also diffuse any harsh lines. And if you feel like you've got too much black on that brush, use a tissue, fluff it away, go back into the brown and rinse and repeat until you feel happy with the blend job of the two. Okay, at this point, however dark you go is completely your discretion. I like to make them pretty dark because when I go in with the color I'm about to go in with, it brightens everything up. So, why did I close that? I need that. The main attraction of this look is going to be armor. Right here. Armor is going to, completely brighten up this look. So, do you notice how if it's not completely blended because you do have a hooded eye or a semi-hooded eye, that's going to bother you. This is why you stay away from smoky eyes, am I right? Because it's why I stay away from them. However, armor is going to cover that. So all of this effort was done to make this smoky transition. Armor you can take on your finger, which I am going to do, and use a brush later. Or you can just use a brush and wet it, which I am still going to wet my brush later, but I want to show you something. This is armor. And this is what's going to happen. I'll actually show you on one eye what it looks like with the finger and on the other eye what it looks like with the brush. Because I haven't done this look for years. I don't know. With the finger, you can choose how you want to apply it. You can choose if you just want the halo eye effect. You can choose if you want it all over the eye. You can choose if you want it even over the brown part. Right? I don't want it over the brown part. I want it just above the fold here in my hood of my eye so that I can see that there's something there, but it's not overpowering. So while I am focusing it in the middle, I will apply it closer to the end as well. And with my finger, I'm only doing the main eyelid part because my fingers are big and the inner and outer parts of my eyes, it will mess it up if I use my finger. So that's the part I'm going to use a brush with. I'm going to use the same brush before with the black already on it and the Mario Badescu face spray. I usually like to really get in there when I use this face spray, really pack on that product. Especially because I only use this for shimmers and I want the shimmers on there. Well, damn, that's better. And if you're going to use a brush applying it, dabbing it, not swiping it, not swirling it, whatever you call that, spotting it, I don't know. That's going to be your best bet. If you're worried about fallout, this technique, the spotting technique, is what's going to do it. So if that concerns you, again, do it before you do your foundation. You can apply as many layers of this as you want. My issue with the brushes is that I can't get it as seamlessly blended as I can with my finger. So I am going to go in with my finger now since I've already done the application and taper it out and up in the general area where I want my shimmers. At this point, we do a cleanup. I'm going to take my dense pencil brush. Because this came out a little bit too much on the corner, I'm going to apply the black shadow in that corner and blend it like I would blend any other classic eye with that outer V. This look isn't going to have an eyeliner. So to bring everything together, I want to make sure that blend is seamless and not look like it's accidentally spread too far. Again, I'm pretty sure this also depends on your eye shape and what you're going for. But in order for me to keep the color focused in that middle there, I have to do it this way. Because I've tried doing it the other way where my eye is mostly shimmers and it doesn't work out the way I want it. With that fluffy brush from before, wipe off any excess. The fluffy brush that we were using to blend the black into the dark brown, when there's barely anything on this product, you can go in and cater to the shape of your eye. So what I'm doing is making sure the blend is as seamless as I can get it. On this side, I have a more refined shape. On this side, I lose that shape a little bit. So I'm going to take that brush, go in with Whiskey, not Bonnie, not your black shadow, your brown shadow. And you're going to add to that black, you're going to add what you think is missing. And this is going to add the darkness in without using black, without making it too stark, too dramatic, too intimidating. And it's good because it feels more balanced without going in with that too harsh black. If you feel like it is too brown and not black enough, pencil brush from before, back into your black shadow that you were using, and just, again, dab it in that outer V until you get that shape that you want. Dabbing eyeshadow on is such a underrated thing. It's also the most natural way to apply, to make the most natural, seamless blends. For the under part of the eye, I'm going to do that now before I apply lashes and mascara and everything because, I don't know about you, but for me, when I apply lashes, my eyes are done. Take the pencil brush you were using before, take that dark brown you were using before, or Whiskey from the Smoky palette, if that's the one you were using. Again, tap off the excess. And we're going to take it underneath the entire bottom lash line. And we're going to do this where the brown is excessive. So apply it to the bottom lash line and don't be afraid to bring it down. We're going to create the same effect here where there is brown, then black. Or else it'll look like something is missing. You can make this part as dark as you want. We are going to go in with the black and bring it down as far as you wish. I like to bring mine down to line up with the shape that I've made. So in this case, I've brought it down pretty far because the shape that I've made doesn't go up, it goes more out. And I'm basically shadowing the entire immediate eye bag. And I'm blending that out again so there are no harsh lines. And then I'm going in with an angled brush and the color black that you were using. And I'm going to apply, let me get a little closer because we lost the sun behind some clouds and it's really dark. So under the eye, as close as you can to the lash line, but the entire way through. From the inner corner to the outer corner. But make sure that you're applying it very close because we're going to blend this out, and the further out you apply it, the further out it will blend. And bring it as close as you can to that outer part because when we blend it up into the top portion of the eye, we want it to be as seamless as it can be. Take the brush from before, the pencil brush, I forgot what it was called, from before, and just buff that out. Swipey motions. Keep it, again, as close to the lash line that you can. What's going to happen is it's going to blend just like the top part of it. It's going to blend seamlessly with that brown. So you don't have to bring down the black to make your eyes look like they're sagging. It will blend into that brown, which is already applied underneath it. So all you have to do is just make sure that the end result is soft. The only liner I'm going to do is a pencil liner in the waterlines. And I'm doing this because it is a dark smoky look. Oh, I have an idea. I'm doing this because it's a dark smoky look and it's going to look incomplete without this. It's smoky looks, especially dark ones, they are going to close the eye. It just makes everything fit together when you use the liner on the inside. It is going to close your eye, but I feel like if you're going for a dark smoky look, you're prepared for that consequence. Like, do you see the difference already? No lashes yet, no mascara yet, but there is a big difference. It brings it together. And I find that if you have brown eyes, they look so dynamic. They look so beautiful with dark, smoky looks. I do not have brown eyes, and when I do looks like this, they look grey, which... Look, for this look, it's not so bad. Gunmetal, my eyes start to look like gunmetal grey, and it fits. But when I do other smoky looks, it's very jarring. Let's apply some lashes. Okay. While this eye dries, we're going to apply mascara with the Better Than Sex mascara. Some people like to apply mascara before they apply lashes. I do it after because I feel like not only does it knit them together nicely, but if I apply it before, my eyelashes develop their own shape with the mascara, and then the lashes on top don't sit at the same angle, you know? And don't forget the bottom lash line, because we are going for drama. With lips, when I do dark looks, I do very forgiving lips, very nude lips. It used to be very pale lips, but a pale lip in and of itself is bold. I'm going to create somewhat of a muted, dusty pink. I don't know if I would call it that. Let's find out. You tell me what it's called. Stone by MAC, the lip liner. Okay, yeah. I was having a thought. I'm going to just apply lip liner to the outside corners of the lips, because I don't want to make the lips more than they have to be. I want them to be somewhat muted, but also not looking like I'm dead. So while this is creating more of an ombre effect, and it will gradient out when I add the color, it's not going to be too bold. Although... when I press my lips together, because I've worn lip balm, it blends pretty seamlessly and I don't really have to do too much to it. But I will say, if you do have fuller lips, you don't have to do this step at all. I'm also taking Blankety by MAC, applying it to the center, the upper and lower centers, the part that aren't lip lined. And then with that, I'm tapering it out. Not completely. I taper it out a little bit, and then usually I dab. When they're blunt like this, it's really hard to do what I'm trying to do. But essentially, I'm dabbing the color on so it doesn't add too much product. And then when I mush my lips together, or purse my lips together, it transfers that color evenly. The look is pretty much done here except for highlight. Let me just set quickly with the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, because I am getting a little shiny, and it's not because the makeup is bad, it's because the aircon is off, the window is closed, and it's getting warm. Alright, once that dries, I take my Laura Mercier powder again and just apply one final layer on top, which really locks everything in, especially for anyone out there with oily skin. This setting spray, the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray that I use, it dries matte. So your makeup will dry matte, it's just that I am paranoid, so... you better believe I'm going to go in with that extra layer of matte, blurry powder and set everything, very well. I am going to do a highlight for this look, because if I wear this look, most likely I'm not going to be going to work, I'll be going out. The only real highlight shade that I have is in the Naked Heat palette. It's called Ounce, this one. But any highlighter you have will work. I just don't have, because I avoid. I'll get one at some point. I'll get one and it's going to be divine. But I do a simple nose contour. I'm not going to highlight the inner eye, because I feel like it's going to defeat the purpose of a smoky eye. But I am going to put a dash of highlight, because I have a hooded eye, otherwise I wouldn't do this. A dash of it in that inner corner. Not inner corner, sorry. You can see what I'm doing, the inner part of the brow. And I'm doing this because it opens up that part of the eye. That's the part of the eye that we're worried about looking too heavy. But because we want the smoky look, we pick our battles. That's where I apply it, to make it look like the eye has more room than it really does. I don't apply it on the outer portion, because it's going to look like I have too much space that hasn't been colored. Unfortunately. I'm also going to take my finger in it and just apply it on the cheekbones. If I had a legitimate highlight, I'd apply it with a brush probably, and it would be very divine, and it would be like a wow, oh, that highlighter looks so great. With that brush, I'm also going to take a little bit and add to the Cupid's bow, because I have small lips, And we bring this out this way. Not on top of the Cupid's bow, because it's gonna, I don't know, I don't want to do it. Like, not on the actual bow of the Cupid's bow, but just up here. But this is it. This is the final look. If you're someone who struggles with dramatic looks, smoky looks, shimmery looks, all of the above, and you're learning how to do them, they're not that intimidating. They're intimidating when you look at them because it looks like a lot of black, a lot of darkness, a lot of whatever, and if you make a mistake, everyone will see it. But let me tell you how much simpler it is to work in layers. We worked from a color very similar to our skin tone. We went darker and darker and darker and then lighter. It's not that intimidating. So I hope that my informative video helps you learn the tricks behind smoky eyes. They're not that scary, but they look very difficult and complex to do when you do them well. So it does take practice. If you're going out and you're running late, I wouldn't recommend them because you do need, like, it took me, it says an hour and a half here, and most of this look was the eyes. So it's not a quick look that you can do. If you're going out and you want to do something glamorous, do something dark and mysterious and whatever, give yourself the time because it will be worth it. Practice it in your own time if you can, but they're not intimidating to do once you know how to do them. And I don't know, who knows, you might fall in love with the look and it might be your dynamic signature look. I hope I was able to help out, especially if you're a beginner, especially if you have hooded eyes. Because this look doesn't look easy and a lot of people avoid it. And then when you see it, you're like, wow, man, I wish I could do that. You can. Layering. In today's makeup world, we are bombarded with and provided with beautiful eyeshadows that have a lot of color, that have a lot of pigment. And we forget that eyeshadows used to be blended by layers. They used to not have so much pigment and then you build the pigment up as it goes. This is how we learned to do them. It's beautiful pigments, like, you know me, I'm in love with that Gemini palette from Melt Cosmetics. Why? Because the pigments, they're superior. I love pigmented shadows. However, when you create looks that are more intimidating, it is so much simpler to go in soft and then to build up that product until it's bold and dynamic and dramatic and beautiful. It's a lot less intimidating when you build it up slowly. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to teach you something valuable, and I hope you like this look. I had a lot of fun making it. I forget, like, I don't wear too much makeup anymore because it's just home and work. So I haven't done a bold, glamorous look in a while. I hope you like it. I like it a lot. If you enjoyed this video and I was able to teach you something valuable, please leave it a like. And if you'd like to see more, consider subscribing. Have a lovely weekend. I will see you in the next video. Mwah! Bye.